what's good, y'all? It's Yao Kanan. I'm here with the GFCC team for the GFCC Global Podcast. Sonny, how are you doing today, bro?
I'm feeling abundant. Thank you for asking. It's a beautiful day. I feel
Bro,
refreshed. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. I just want to give you some time to introduce yourself today. Amrita, how are you doing, bro?
Doing good, just going through upgrades, feeling through it.
Feeling through it?
Yeah.
Great. I'm excited to hear from your perspective. On our topic today has a lot to do with detaching and shedding certain aspects of the self, and that's a lot to do with what we're going to be discussing. X, how are you doing today, bro?
I'm doing amazing, very abundant. You know what I'm saying? Being present, staying in the moment.
Definitely remaining present and remaining in flow with whatever is brought to your attention. You feel me? Z, how you feeling? How's your fire burning today?
Good, feeling great. Had a good start. Did my work, which wasn't even planned, but Spirit had other things that they wanted me to do, so I just went ahead and did it. Had a good stretch after that. Ate some good food. Yeah, pretty good so far. It's a good day. It's a good day. It's shining out. It's bright outside. Yeah.
Glad to hear that, bro. I'm glad to hear from all of y'all and see all of y'all, and be in this present moment with all of y'all and really connect, based upon what it is that we're about to discuss today. I'm feeling very grateful and very at peace with where I'm at currently within my journey within my life, and I look forward to hearing y'all perspective on what it is that we're about to get into. So today we're going to be getting into the power of silence and what it is to really be the observer. So first, I want to go to Sunny. Sunny, what has been your experience with existing in more of an observer state, and how do you remain more detached from certain aspects of reality that you're more so meant to learn from rather than emotionally attached?
Um, I learned to let go. It happens when I start to have a emotional flare up when with past trauma, and through healing that trauma, um, I just have to detach from any distractions that'll keep distracting me from actually paying attention and focusing to what needs to be focused on. So I just take away, time from social media and even just interacting with people, even on Discord. And my team will just tell me, you need to focus. Don't look at your phone. Don't even listen to music. Don't listen, not even to frequencies, nothing. Just be with yourself. And the second I do that, all the things that were interrupted by distractions get to be filtered out. And it's like, okay, now we have a chance. It's like there's no traffic now. No traffic, green lights everywhere. And I ground and I reset myself. I bring myself back to myself. And I do more meditating and take my time more. And I just stop thinking about everything, every responsibility, everything that comes with the physical. I just stop thinking about it because, especially things that are not in my control, I let go of that stuff. And no matter, I've even noticed, no matter how much I know, like, okay, gotta let go of it, sometimes it pops up, it's naturally as a human, it's human nature to start to feel overwhelmed or start overthinking. But I catch myself and I bring myself back. And it's like, okay, time to spend time with yourself because you're glitching right now. You're having some malfunctions. Now it's time to reset, troubleshoot, and refresh. So, yeah, it's staying back and even observing the server, right? Because I am a watcher of the server. Even when I'm busy, I still open tabs and look at conversations and then I keep it moving. I'm like, all right, everything's chill. I'm going to go. But if something's up, I handle it. So, and then I don't get too involved or distracted. I could stay doing what I'm doing and reset myself within that process and then come back more refreshed, more energized, and ready and able to help others and to provide for others and to speak to others openly and publicly.
Most definitely,
Yeah.
bro. I love the way you put that because it kind of speaks to your shadow ability and your ability to use the shadows in order to do what's best for the collective. So I want to ask you another question about the concept of like silent resonance or using silence to identify what energies within the field or within where energy within your field are fully in resonance with the environment that you want to create, and then maintaining that space like you do inside the server and protecting the type of energy and the type of like feng shui that you want inside of here, right? So I want to ask you, how do you use your like shadow ability and your shadow abilities, especially those dragon
Mhm.
connections that you have, in order to make sure that things stay like copacetic inside of all the spaces that you exist in?
So those shadow abilities, I make sure to never suppress them. I listen to them, but I don't allow them to control me. I just allow it to be to function as like a radar, um,
Mhm.
to especially in protection, right? And being protective over the server, um, and myself, right? Understanding how deep and dark others can be, like, how do I word it? What type of capabilities the darkness has. So it's hard for me to put into words, but it's like a radar. So when it's like going
Yeah.
beep, 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 I'm like, okay, someone needs to be paid attention to. Or even with myself, it's like if the radar goes off, I'm like, okay, something in my shadows is malfunctioning, it's going into chaos. How do I keep it steady? So, and then I go to my lighter self and I ask my lighter self to help balance me out, however it is, uh, however necessary. Um, but those shadows, definitely, I don't ignore them, but I don't let them control me. I think that's the most important part. And how I keep it, like feng shui, you said, like, are you
Like
speaking?
how do you use your awareness of the shadows that
Okay.
exist inside of the space that you're in to make sure that things don't get like too extreme
Mhm,
or things don't get past a certain point and things stay at peace. You know what I
mhm,
mean? Because when you're aware of certain darker energies or certain energies that can cause malevolence, you want to be more in awareness of them and take certain actions to make sure they don't affect certain things. You
mhm.
see what I'm saying? So how do you best do that inside of your space, inside of the Discord and also inside of just your awareness in
Okay. And
general?
in my space, yeah, I keep the awareness. It's more like I put an invisible wall and boundary in front of me where like I can view this, all these shadows and malevolence, like the possibilities of malevolence taking place all in front of me. And I'm facing it and confronting it, but there's a big veil of protection, like a golden wall in front of me where I could see it. And um, I take notes of what it is, where it's coming from, how it's caused, what is its agenda, and what are the backup plans that it has. What is it trying to make me do? It's like it's like extreme chess that I'm playing. And it's like you're not going to checkmate me, I'm going to checkmate you and then some. And
Mhm.
another thing I do is a lot of my spiritual practices, my private practices that I do at home with my routines. I stay on top of my routines and my cleansing. I always do my routines when I wake up, showing gratitude. I keep myself grounded. I stay on top of my altars. I stay doing spiritual baths and keeping the light, like the light flowing around my house. But I never lose sight of the balance of my darkness. So with that, it's like I'm transmuting malevolence. Well, I'm not malevolent, but I could transmute what could be malevolent and turn it into a positive to remove that malevolence completely before
Yeah.
it could, like,
It's like operating in that gray area energy.
yeah, but still not being sucked in. Because like I have to understand it in order to heal it and in order to wow, this came up. Wow. They're telling me something that Amrita mentioned like 2 years ago. about do you heal it or kill it? And this was an experience Amrita had in the astrals where I forgot exactly what it was, but there was a being. And like, there comes a time where you have to use your discernment. Does this being need help, need to be healed? Or is it just straight up malevolent where it doesn't want to be healed? It wants to kill, 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 or cause malevolence. Therefore, you have to kill it. But at one point, do we give this being a chance? Like, what are the limitations? What are the boundaries with this being that is malevolent and dark? But is it malevolent and dark because of something that's out of its control and it just needs to be liberated from that darkness? It
Yeah,
needed a
it's like
chance.
does this thing need guidance or does it need exorcism in a sense?
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
exactly.
For sure, I
So
definitely
it's like that discernment is in there. And even how do I get to that discernment is it, I'm still trying to find the proper words to describe it because it's like a knowing and a feeling you have
yeah,
inside. Like I said, the radar just goes off. And
exactly. It's that awareness, that shadow
yeah,
awareness. And I wanted to go to thank you for giving us that perspective.
of
But
course.
since we're bringing up the sermon, I go to Professor X when it comes to like the in between or gray area type of energy, and kind of break down his perspective of dark and light energy, what it is, and how to master those energies inside yourself.
Yeah, so first and foremost, let's break down dark and light, right? Because a lot of the people associate these things with good and evil. You know, light is good, darkness is evil, and that's not true. Light and dark are just two expressions of source, right? Both can have negative and positive attributes or creative and destructive properties, right? When we talk about light, light is projection. Um, you don't really see a lot of people doing evil in this world without projecting shit. You know what I'm saying? People use their light for evil. You know what I'm saying? Same with darkness. People go within, get higher wisdom, or even take wisdom from other people. When we talk about darkness, that's about attraction, so people will take wisdom from other people. It's like people burning books and things like that. So you could use darkness for evil, you could use light for evil, you could also use both for good, right? So when it comes to finding that middle ground, you got to learn how to operate from light and dark in the way that you want to, right? So if I want to be benevolent, I have to learn how to use my light and dark properties to do that. And if I want to be malevolent, then I have to learn how to use light and darkness to do that too. When it comes to true balance, I believe in finding complete balance between benevolence and malevolence. Well, I don't want to say true balance because being in a gray area, I mean, that could be beneficial. That's a spiritual path for sure. I personally like to lean towards one side.
I want you to go into that as well. That's definitely
Okay.
a certain path I kind of want you to explain to the collective because there's
Hmm.
certain people that are meant to master the gray area. When I think of the gray area, I kind of think of the spirit of the higher self because you're completely merging the higher and lower self and just becoming the higher self embodied, and you're releasing a certain sense of morality, which would kind of permit
Yeah.
you to do things that you might perceive as malevolent or permit you to do or
Yeah.
stop you from doing things that you might perceive as more benevolent because you have a different sense of morality that's more so based in divine wisdom rather than human
Yeah, and
principles.
that's a fact. The concept of good and evil is a human creation. I don't want to say human creation. It's a creation of the collective consciousness, which extends beyond humanity and into other, spirit and ET like beings. Um, but true duality is learning how to, be creative and be destructive, whether you're perceived as malevolent or benevolent. You know what I'm saying? That's the true hand of God. God is not a good being or an evil being. God is a truthfully neutral being that acts through, acts of violence, acts of service, acts of destruction, acts of creation, right? It's important to find that balance because in your life, certain things will have to be destroyed. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't like destruction because it feels like this great tower moment, but you can find comfort in destruction after the dust settles. You know what I'm saying? And some people, they they lack the ability to create. They're not creative. They steal everything, or they have to use others' resources to, amount to anything that is substantial. And you don't want to be that way. You want to be able to channel higher wisdom, channel higher knowledge, channel your highest self into creative actions that will carry out your goals. You know what I'm saying?
For you, bro. That's really what we have that creative power for, is to channel those higher energies and use that intent, those intense emotions, those very powerful frequencies that we're tapping into in order to bring that higher wisdom down so we can use it on the earth, bro. So I want to ask you, how have you used this mastery of these dualistic energies in order to create inside of your life?
Number one, I separated myself from human morality. Um, you have to kind of straddle the line like we talk about. You have to walk the fine line, and that's the balance. You know what I'm saying? Um, but at the end of the day, a part of my spiritual awakening was learning how to detach myself from human morality, human ethics. I used to think killing was bad. This section might get a little trigger warning, but hey, trigger warning. I used
Yeah.
to think killing was bad, you know what I'm saying? But then I really started to think about it. If somebody threatens my life in a severe way, well, what am I gonna do? Am I just gonna die or not? You know what I'm saying? These are things that you have to consider. Even when it comes to what Amrita and Sunny said, do you heal it or kill it? That was something that I dealt with a lot, even though those words didn't necessarily come to my mind. It was a concept that I was dealing with all the time
Uh,
because, there's certain aspects of ourselves that need to quite literally be eradicated. Even aspects of other people that need to be eradicated, um, so that we can get to our desired destination. You know what I'm saying? And there's certain parts of you that need to be healed or reformed so that they can be reintegrated back into your character or back into society. You know what I'm saying? Another thing I did too was do evil shit. A part of my spiritual awakening was what I call my quote unquote lost years. We were talking about this before the pod started, but having experiences where I was forced into situations where I had to do bad things to survive. You know what I'm saying? It was times I had to steal.
mhm.
I had to get over on somebody. It was times I had to fight. You know what I'm saying? I had to hurt somebody else so that I can survive, and doing those quote unquote malevolent things and being of service to self in disregard of others, that taught me a lot about duality. It taught me a lot about the seasons. You know what I'm saying? We're not always going to be in a season where we're, loving, light, and creative and giving everything, being of super service. Sometimes we're in a season when we have to be selfish. You know what I'm saying? Um, the big picture is not letting these seasons define you. You are not defined by one season. You're not even defined by your actions. That's another thing as well. You're not defined by your actions. You're not even defined by your thoughts. You're just the observer of all of this shit. Yeah, what defines you is quite literally undefinable. And that's why we express ourselves through creation so that we can learn about ourselves in itemized ways. But learning about yourself in an itemized way, looking at thing to thing to thing, that does not quantify you. The whole is what is quantifying you. And there's no way to, describe that. So you can't say, oh, such and such is good, such and such is bad. Even like when it comes to like true evil people, like a Jeffrey Dahmer type of person, a serial killer. You know what I'm saying? Like on the surface level, we say, yeah, that person is evil. Even me, I would say, yeah, that person was evil. But at the end of the day, I cannot say that those type of people are evil because they were just expressing a certain aspect of source that they felt needed to be expressed at that time, whether they were sick, mentally ill or not. That's another thing as well. Like I said, when you separate yourself from human morality, um, you exit the collective consciousness in a way. And things that are outside of the collective consciousness of humans are deemed as ugly or evil by the collective consciousness, right? So when you look at like homeless people, they've exited the system in a way. They've exited the quote unquote matrix. They have done a great service to themselves. But by doing that and by choosing themselves, by exiting, what is normal and normalized, they have created space for other people to label them. You know what I'm saying? So you have to separate
Most
yourself
definitely.
from all of that, not worry about how the collective consciousness will perceive you from doing specific actions. You know what I'm saying? If I was worried about how people would perceive me, if when I had to steal to survive, if I was worried about how people would perceive me, I would probably be dead because I wouldn't have got my knees bent. And now look, you know what I'm saying? I I used to do that, and now I'm in a position where I could serve niggas. I could serve a bunch of people now. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you kind of deal when you're dealing with duality, you're kind of dealing with that utilitarian mindset where it's like the the greatest good for all by doing certain evils. You know what I'm saying?
Most definitely, bro. It's like you become an embodiment of the necessary evil that you're meant to embody and use it for a benevolent purpose.
Exactly.
And I want to ask you this one last question, and I want to send this question to Z as well because I feel like Z can give a great perspective on this, especially with this fire energy that both of you guys embody, because you know with that Aries vibe that
Hmm.
both of you guys carry. Um, I want to ask you, especially being someone that embodies a lot of fire energy and just being very familiar with destruction, how have you used destruction in a benevolent way in order to express the mastery over the balance that you have?
Yeah, so my destruction is more so pointed inward. I grew up externally destructive, but that's not how my environment needed me to show up, so I would always get punished for it. Um, that since I have more control over myself, the greatest lengths I would go to destroy others is to destroy certain beliefs they may have. But you know, letting I more so my approach to destruction is letting God do the destruction for me when it comes to externally. But internally, boy, I'll destroy the fuck out of myself. I'll destroy certain habits, certain principles that I used to stand on. I'll question everything. It's times I've questioned my whole spiritual beliefs after I already questioned my whole spiritual beliefs and settled into new beliefs. Just because it's like, okay, does this align with where I want to be, or does this align with my greater truth? So
Yeah,
having that sword I talked about this yesterday in my class, but having that sword to cut through any bullshit, even to cut through some of the good shit, just to see like, damn, okay, I did need that. Let me bring it back. Having that I guess that fire on ready to destroy anything within you that may stifle you or may block you from certain things is super, super important. You know what I'm saying? And I'll bring it back to cutting the good things down too, because sometimes we think we need to keep all of the good things because we're not used to having good things. But sometimes a good thing in your life that is beneficial at a certain moment will block you from certain things that you actually need. And then once you move past that blockage, you can get that thing that destroy back. Like, for example, prime example of inward destruction. And I talk about this a lot, especially recently because it's been coming up. The fact that last year I dead ass quit making music. You know what I'm saying? I've been a musician since I was like 8, 7 years old. I quit making music last year because it was blocking me. It was blinding me from my true spiritual potential. Like I was not, being active in my community. I was not teaching or anything. I was just being really of self-service. And that's cool. You feel me? My music inspires people, but it wasn't to the magnitude that me teaching and, me being active in my community could, you know what I'm saying? I'm much more effective at my purpose this way. So sacrificing music for about a year to get rooted in my spiritual foundation and rooted in my ego as a spiritual teacher allowed me to do so much. You know what I'm saying? I've in this whole year since I quit music, I've literally become semi-financially free. You know what I'm saying? I'm on my road to true financial freedom where I want to be. You know what I'm saying? And I've not had to deal with a lot of the I guess, imprisoning mentalities that I used to deal with when I used to solely make music. You know what I'm saying? I used to be a quote unquote struggling artist, and that was my whole mentality to life, aside from my spiritual beliefs. But that was not my spiritual beliefs and being a struggling anything did not go together. I'm not a struggle dude. You know what I'm saying? I'm a hard worker, yes, but struggle is not necessary when you have dedication and love for your craft. You know what I'm saying? At the very best, or at the very least, it becomes easy to do what you love because you just love showing up, right? But now I'm in a position where, okay, I reapproach my life. I sacrificed a good thing for me because music helped me a lot in my life. Growing up, music was actually the catalyst to my whole spiritual awakening in the first place. It made me realize that I was God. I'm a true creative being. You know what I'm saying? Um, Now that I'm in a space where everything is laid out in a way where I could truly actually be a good musician and incorporate that into my spiritual practice, now I can make music again. I just started making music. You know what I'm saying? So, like,
mhm,
that's a good example of me destroying an aspect of myself that was super integral to my identity just so I could regain it later. You know what I'm saying? Don't get into this trap thinking you have to only sacrifice bad things. You know what I'm saying? Sacrifice things that are good for you. Sometimes you're dead ass gonna be called to sacrifice some shit that benefited you more than anything else. But you have to trust the process and trust in God. You know what I'm saying? Trust in the duality.
that's a fact, bro. Most definitely. When it comes to sacrificing certain aspects of yourself and receiving them later, one thing my guys have been teaching me in my life is when you wait, you will receive more, and how long you wait is dependent on how present you can be. See
Exactly.
what I'm saying? So because you decided to let go of like music, let go of that huge aspect of your character and just lock in on another aspect of your character, you get to reap the benefits of your talent.
Hmm.
Um, the work that you did in the past with music, and also this whole new aspect of your life that has expanded everything else.
Exactly.
So really, thank you for giving that perspective, bro. Um, and I kind of want to pivot this question to Z because I feel like X spoke a lot about destroying certain parts of himself in order to conserve certain energy, and pivot his fire energy where he needed it to be, rather than destroying things externally. He destroyed certain aspects of his internal world and formed that into what he wanted. So I want to ask you, how have you used that type of practice inside of yourself, and also how have you used your mastery of detachment to make sure that your energy cannot be siphoned?
So for me, I feel like I'm the complete opposite. I've had to learn how to destroy certain realities, certain timelines, certain beliefs that people would project onto me. And it's very interesting that we're talking about this because yesterday I was looking up my Lilith placement and it's in Sagittarius. And I've always said how I have a very strong sense of integrity and a very strong sense of just speaking my truth, regardless of
Yeah.
whatever discomfort that it brings from other people. And I've always kind of been like this. And it sometimes it can get me in trouble. But have noticed is a huge part of my journey. It's been about teaching people about correction, teaching people about how to essentially go against the grain and go against societal norms and go against what others may think and what others may expect of them to do, and really kind of like honing in on what is calling you, what your soul is asking you to do, what is source, God, whatever you want to call it, the universe is calling you to do, regardless of whatever fear that may come up. So I feel like for me, yeah, like a huge part of my journey is like, because I feel like at a very young age, I've always had people try to tell me who I am, who I can be, what I can do. That sort of limitation, and I've never liked it. And I've always been super rebellious when people would try to control me and try to keep me in certain boxes. And just naturally, my spirit does not like stuff like that. I really do enjoy being able to express myself freely, to explore, to learn things, to discover things, and kind of decipher what that means for me and not allowing other people to kind of make that choice for me. I don't really enjoy that. So yeah, I feel like that can definitely be like misunderstood from people that are very conditioned into just following what somebody else tells you to do. Listen to, like, I feel like a lot of us have probably been told, especially around certain peers, parents, guardians, whoever, whatever authoritative figure you've been around. I feel like we've all kind of been like in this energy of like, I'm the adult here, you need to listen to every single thing that I say, even if they are trying to tell you to go down a certain timeline that you know for a fact that's not aligned with what is right for you and what feels right to you. And me, like I said, I've just been naturally rebellious to stuff like that, even if I've had to go in the unknown and like figure out how to navigate that all on my own. I've done that so many times where it's like now it's kind of like, oh, me and the unknown, we like this. It's kind of like like, we besties now. So like, yeah, I feel like that's how it's worked for me. Learning how to just correct certain timelines, certain realities, certain beliefs that people may project onto me, and just going against the grain. Really being that type of person that, and it's not like I'm trying to purposely be rebellious, but to remind people that you create your life. Whatever it is that you want to do for yourself, it's in the hands of you. You are the person that has the wand and the book, and you get to write exactly what it is that you want to experience, regardless of what other people tell you that you can and can't do. And I like to remind people that anything is possible. Anything is possible when you have faith and when you have belief. You can create anything. Nothing. The sky is the limit. You
Most
feel me?
definitely, and it's really
So
about
yeah.
that's really that fire energy perspective of breaking past all your limits and expanding infinitely, and making sure that anything is possible inside of your life, and that you're aware of that, and that you're willing to take the steps to grant yourself those type of experiences and become those versions of yourself that you need to be in order to live out those realities. So I want to kind of go into what you were talking about when it comes to breaking down certain realities and also creating new ones, because you have a very strong connection to, like, the ether, void beings, even like Anunnaki beings and things like that. So I want to ask you, how do you use those connections to create in your life and also to master ruling over your emotions and also ruling over this like fire energy, this very strong fire energy that you have, as well as a lot of different emotional intelligences that you possess as well? How do you kind of use that collection of abilities in order to practice this way of life?
That's a good question. So, one of the two important things is will always be your vision and your intention. And a lot of times, if you kind of struggle with envisioning what reality you want to live for yourself, that's when stillness comes, and like that's like a very important role in terms of what do you truly want to see, in terms of you living your highest, your purpose, the highest timeline, whatever you want to align with. I would say that stillness is where you're going to be able to build that vision, because if you don't know where you want to go, how are you supposed to create the life that you want to live? So really being able to hone in on what you truly want. And it's such a loaded question. And I used to feel this way all the time, because my guys used to ask me all the time, what do you want to do? Especially when I was in Mexico, that was such a big question. They would always ask me. I'm like, that's such a loaded question. Why are y'all asking me that? Like, how can I answer that in like just a simple conversation? But they were like, just sit with it, sit with the energy and just tap into the feelings, tap into how would you move intentionally if you could create the reality that you want for yourself. So I said, okay, cool, let me sit with this. So I've been sitting with that question for months, and this is kind of when I started to have a breakthrough when it came to my creative expression, and my gift started expanding in a way where I wasn't focusing on just one aspect of my gifts, and I was looking at all of them, and I was like, how can I how can I scale all of these different gifts that I have in a way that suits how I want to show up in the world, where not only am I being authentic, but I'm also helping other people show up in that same similar energy where they feel the confidence to be authentic, to show up as themselves, and not to be scared or fearful of other people's perceptions of them. And that's kind of when I started learning how to use my emotions tied with the vision, and learning how to use both of it to kind of create the reality that I want. Because naturally, I'm very powerful when it comes to manifesting. Also, being able to use my throat chakra to speak things into existence has been a very highlight in my life since since I was a very young child. And once I had the vision and I had somewhat of a reality of what I wanted to create, I then took the emotion and then I channeled the vision with the intention of like, okay, this is what I want. This is what I want to experience. And then I kind of also like would surrender, and I would go back into the unknown and allow spirit to and my intuition to guide me. Okay, where do I feel called to go? Like I would randomly just go on walks. Don't know why I want to go walks. I just felt intuitively to go walks. Sometimes I would get this nudge to like, oh my God, I really want to dance tonight. Like I've never felt the urge to just want to do something so spontaneous. So I would just listen, right? And lo and behold, I would run across people, certain connections that would lead me to the very things that I just envisioned and intentionally said that I wanted to create. And then that's kind of how like the magic works. But you got to be able to have the vision. Once you have that vision and you have something in mind of what you want, then you can channel it with the intention. And then, like I said, the surrendering aspect, surrender to whatever your soul is calling you to do, whatever urge you're feeling the need to do, take action on. It might be spontaneous, it might be, something where you'll get the ideal and you have to sit with it and then you kind of act on it. So not all the time it was spontaneous for me, but most of the times I have acted in a very spontaneous way. I can definitely say
Well,
that.
definitely, really, it's that like I said, that fire, expansive energy. It wants to move and flow and do whatever it wants to do, and you're learning. You've kind of mastered, I should say, how to channel that into creating an entire reality. So I want to ask you one last thing. So, what is one way that you kind of use this mastery of your etheric body to channel this energy intentionally, like through your intention, through visualization, through spells. If you draw on certain portals or like sigils or any magic or anything like that, I kind of want you to just give us one thing that people can use to do this for themselves.
That's another really good question. I would have to go back to my gifts. Like, I'm a very creative person, and sometimes I like to do it through movement, through dancing. Sometimes I enjoy doing it through creating art. There's spiritual portals that I love to make, and it has a very intentional, a very specific energy. So whenever you see it, it's kind of like initiating you and activating you without you really even knowing for real.
Right, that's a
So
fact. That's a fact.
yeah, it's different ways that you can use the energy, but I would say focus on your gifts and what you naturally do, and having the intention to manifest, because a lot of people don't know that you can manifest when you're dancing, and I do that a lot. Like, I do it a lot, especially even if it's not dancing. Even if I'm doing my qigong practices, a lot of people manifest when we're doing qigong, and they also don't be knowing that they're doing that. um so yeah, I would say it just depends on your unique gifts and what you love to do as far as creating things. And also when it comes to destroying certain aspects, destroying certain timelines, realities, even thought forms, certain emotions. Like, I use it to create and destroy. It's like a good balance between the two. So if there's an aspect of myself, even if it's subconscious, that I don't necessarily agree with, but it's somewhat in my energy or in my space, in my field, my aura, I will literally just channel the intention to destroy that, like literally burn that, like get that
Yeah,
out of here. We need to get rid of this to actually bring more in of what I truly want and what my heart truly desires, instead of allowing this to just be in my energy, and there's no need for it. You feel me? So yeah.
most definitely. I appreciate you breaking that down for us and also explaining how you use that fierceness and that warlike fire energy that you have in these benevolent ways in order to make sure your space stays clear as well, because we have these abilities for a reason, is to use on these more negative situations, these negative situations, I should say, or these lower beings that try to come around us and disturb the peace that we're cultivating so we can fulfill our purpose like we need to. So I appreciate you for that perspective, bro. Thank you.
Yes, of course. Thank you for the question.
Of course. I want to give Ambrita kind of like the closing of our pod and just ask you um a more all-encompassing question, because I feel like you can give us a lot of wisdom on this. How do you carry so much light energy while still operating in more of like a gray area and being very balanced and not feeling like I have to be super benevolent or I have to be super malevolent, I should say. Um because I feel like you're very good at being balanced in that area, but you always carry that angelic frequency regardless of the emotion or the expression that you're making in the moment.
I feel like this really resonates with what we talked about with being the observer, because every single situation that I experience, whether it's with someone that like is annoying me or like anyone like especially, family and like projections and triggers, I always just look at the observer aspect of it, and it helps me detach from any way that that might trigger my ego, and it helps me just ground back into the higher perspective of everything and take the lesson from it, take the wisdom from the situation for how I can just be better myself and not really act in a way that I would regret moving forward.
Most definitely. Like, you really ground yourself into that soul awareness and just realize, you know what? This is a teaching moment, just like all the situations in my life are. And if I can best take the lessons and power from the situation, I can show up in a way that if I even accomplish I said accomplish. If I even come across something like this in the future, oh my gosh, rubber confirmation. If I even come across something like this in the future, I'll be so powerful that it won't even affect me like that because I learned the lesson right
Mhm.
now. And a lot of times when we're experiencing certain difficulty during our journey is because we're repeating certain lessons that we were meant to learn during the past. So I also want to ask you, how have you learned in the past how to maintain this frequency? Like, are there any situations that you have came across? Were there any people in your life who were kind of placed there to constantly force you to to resonate at a level where they couldn't really affect you like that? Because I feel like you have experienced that predominantly.
Yeah, I was gonna actually talk about because in the past, I was someone that would react super quickly to situations because
Mm,
I would get triggered so fast, and I was just trying to protect
mm,
myself with the anger and rage that I had of everything that was building up through my life. Um, and I feel like just as I kept doing that and looping through the situation, it was obviously just causing my own suffering. And when I became more
mm.
aware of those cycles and patterns, I just realized that silence and just not reacting is the best thing that I can do most of the time. And that really helps me with keeping my energy to myself and not absorbing everything that they're trying to project onto me.
Most definitely. And that silent, kind of like observer mode, detached perspective, it kind of is intimidating to people because they don't fully understand what angle you're taking because you're not responding and kind of like giving them information on your perspective on the
Mhm.
situation in its entirety. So I want to ask you again, how have you used that power of silence, even like developing that relationship with silence in your life so that you can always resonate in that angelic frequency? um, and what can you give us kind of like one instance where silence was the best option and it actually gave you a lot of power over the situation?
Yeah, so most of the time when I use silence, it has to do with my mom. Because every single thing that you say in the situation can be used against you. So I
Right.
always I can't even say certain details of my life because they'll be used against me in the future. So
Yeah,
I really just detach myself. Like I wish the relationship wasn't like this, but this is what I have to do the best thing for myself, you know? So I have to not engage as much in conversation and just stay silent most of the time. And yeah, it just even if she's asking me a normal question, I'll just answer really normally and I won't go into much detail of what I'm doing or how I'm doing anything cuz then she'll just try to control aspects of it and project her fears, lack mindset and everything and I don't want none of that.
exactly. You've learned to discern what aspects of people that you want to engage with and where you can resonate with them, and then where you kind of just have to detach and resonate in this light frequency. And it's like, okay, I'm only going to allow you certain limited access to my
Mhm.
energy and my frequency, what I have going on in my life. Because if I allow you too much, you're going to pull me down to your level, and that's really non-resonant with where I am right now.
Exactly.
So I want to ask you one more thing. How can you give, or can you give some wisdom to the people about how to always keep themselves in energetic balance without kind of like tipping over and getting sucked down into some of the situations that a lot of us are approached with on a daily basis?
I would say obviously it's going to take practice cuz it doesn't happen overnight, especially something I've learned. The best thing I would say is having a space where you can feel your energy because knowing what is truly yours is going to help you decipher what energies are lingering from other people so that you can just stay in your own energy and not absorb theirs. What was the
Mm.
second part of your question?
It was about how the people can make sure they stay in the light energy. I think honestly, I think you pretty much answered it.
Oh, okay. It's important to just recognize and be aware of what is truly yours.
Most definitely. And can you give us one way that everyone can make sure that they do that? One practice that they can do?
Well, you can like meditate, obviously, and I think it also helps with connecting with your inner child and knowing what kind of insecurities and triggers that you have, because sometimes the triggers aren't even ours with the family that's around us or just the regular people that are around us. And like tapping into that joy frequency will also help you just be happy being with yourself so you don't feel the need to engage with those types of people either.
That's a fact. I know I said that was gonna be the last question, but I feel like light energy and this angelic frequency you have has a lot to do with the inner child and like this fairy energy that you carry as well. So how do you make sure that you maintain and stay inside of that energy even when you are facing certain things that are really trying to dysregulate your nervous system and take you out of that peaceful energy that you have within your etheric body?
I would say, like Z mentioned earlier with being spontaneous, I usually just like tap into myself and see like sometimes I'm not even like consciously doing it. It just happens like I'll feel inspired to like draw or do face paint or like I don't know, play a game, stuff like that. Just like doing things that I can connect with and not focus on the density of the situation around me. But it's not like I'm escaping it in a way that I'm like yeah, it's not like I'm escaping it, I'm recognizing it, but I'm choosing to focus my energy on things that brings me joy.
Yeah. You're like transmuting that uncomfortability into joy by creating your own reality within the chaos.
Yep.
Most definitely. Thank you for that perspective. And that's a beautiful way to put that. Thank all of you for your perspectives on the silence and being the observer. I feel like it's very important for the collective to understand what it is to exist in observer mode because that is all of our true self. And a lot of people don't have as much connection to that as they should or as they would like to because they don't fully understand the concept of being the observer. And it can be very tough to separate yourself from the observer and the character when you kind of only see what you're observing through the character's eyes, which is why it's very important to emotionally detach and also even like mentally detach from certain things and just observe things as they are because that is what soul awareness is. That is what the essence of awareness actually is. So I want to ask you guys, is there anything that you guys want to say? Any wisdom you guys want to give out? If so, let me know and we can like pivot to you.
Oh yeah, I was thinking about some things
Mhm. Go ahead, Sonny.
just based off like what everyone was saying too. I started recognizing things that I relate to in that, and just want to put in even in other terms things that were said already as well. Just for like if anyone is still having trouble understanding, and you
Mhm.
know, um, understand that we are everything and nothing at the same time. We are not just bound to the physical. We are more than the physical. So when you detach from the physical and the material as a whole, and you see everything as in the bigger picture, instead of being in the picture, think about seeing the picture, the whole picture. Um, that's an easy way to detach and to just view things from the outside.
Exactly. Like we're just we are physical embodiments of many different expressions of the grand picture, the grand field, which is source, which is the universe, which is the collective consciousness, and we are simply just embodies reflecting it.
Mhm,
I love how you put that because the very essence of being the observer or being the soul is understanding that principle that we are all the same being in different expressions in different bodies. So also having this conversation is like a congregation of different expressions of ourselves, giving each other certain gems,
mhm.
expressing our different perspectives, teaching each other things, and also becoming a collective, almost like wave of light for the collective to get value from it. I want to say like marvel at. You see what I'm saying? So that's a fact.
Yeah, in our darkness, for anyone who hasn't heard this before, divine darkness. There's a difference between divine darkness and malevolence. When you go dark, you're going within. Just like X was saying earlier, you're going within. And just like from what Genie has taught in one of his old videos, when you close your eyes, it's dark. But when you close your eyes, you're going inside of yourself. So I would encourage people to
Mhm.
think about that as well as they're going
That's a fact.
through what they're going through, you know?
Most definitely. That's the when we say darkness, we're talking about the darkness that exists inside of yourself, not the darkness that exists from doing things from
Mm-hmm.
a lower or leveling perspective. So that
Yeah.
was a great kind of like quote to use. And shout out to Jeannie for giving that perspective out as well,
Mm-hmm.
because that changes your perspective of what actually exists inside of you. Because they teach us that what exists inside of us is evil, or what is black is evil. So you won't look inside of yourself and look at all the infinite energy that is actually inside of you, because black is actually ether, and the ether is actually the infinite energy or the void that all of us are made of. All of us can pull information from, and all of us can use to tap into the infinite field and tap into all these different timelines and all these different versions of ourselves and versions of our experiences that we can kind of like surf through and really tap into that like quantum leaping quantum energy for sure.
Mm-hmm.
All these things connect each other. And I'm glad that you brought that up, because it's important that people can make those different connections inside their mind, because these are different like buzzwords that people hear, but this is like a system that you can use to gain control of your life, which
Yep.
is really what the point being the observer is you become the observer. You start to realize there's certain things that you don't even have to energetically attach to, and there's certain things you can push your energy towards that will actually control your experience, and that's the whole entire point.
And you can, by doing that, by going in, you find the diagnosis of what needs to be, what's going on with you, what's malfunctioning. So you gather your
Exactly.
diagnosis, and then you create an action plan of like, okay, how do I heal this part? How do I get rid of it without running away from it so it doesn't chase me? And so I don't have all this baggage. Just I'm carrying all this baggage with nowhere else to put it. So that by just observing that, you receive a whole package deal of what you're meant to do, how you're meant to do it, and what it is that you need to pay attention to and um, reevaluate, because it's all right under our noses. Things that like we don't even notice. We're just too busy, like, you know,
Exactly.
outwardly
Mhm.
busy to the point where we're distracted and we're not able to fully go within. It's like hiccups, hiccup, hiccup, speed bumps over and over again. Just detach and let the road clear. And you don't have bumps. Let it go. Just go straight through it.
That's a fact, bro. Very well said. That's very like Sagittarius, like just burning through the
Oh,
boundaries,
yeah.
breaking certain shit, just expanding past everything. And I
Hmm.
love this fire energy that we're in. I love this Venus energy that we're in as well, and this June as well. Really just expanding with love and expanding our perspective, and really just observing all the abundance that we're tapping into on a collective level right now.
Mhm.
Facts.
Most definitely. So I want to say, unless you guys have something else that y'all want to say for the people, some wisdom y'all want to give. This has been a great pod. This has been a great conversation, and we
I have a
can get up
question
out of
for
here.
you, Yahoo.
What's good, bro?
I know I've like observed the way that you are like the leader in this server and that you have to navigate a lot of situations with other people. So how do you handle when there's different situations between other people that are causing tension?
This is a great question. I did not expect y'all to ask me that, but that's a great question. Um, when you're perceived in a leader role and you have people that are part of the team, whatever team it is, that are having tension, the most important thing is to make sure that both people feel like I care about what is going on with them. And not just I want to settle the situation for the simple fact, like, oh, this just needs to be peaceful, and not come into like, oh, this just needs to be ordered for the simple fact that I want it to be ordered. Because that's some like I don't know why I want to say totalitarian. That it seems like that's like some communist bullshit. And I would rather come at it with a heart based mindset and more heart based energy, and like, okay, what is your I don't want to say like what's your issue, but what is your problem in this situation? What is your problem in this situation? What do both of y'all need? What is your problem with each other? And then how can I become the mediator? so that this doesn't spread to everyone, and also so that we can still have a harmonious relationship as far as us working together on the team. And also, I can make sure that y'all know if anything does happen, y'all can trust me to handle certain shit. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So there's a lot of different dimensions that go into that. Like I have to make sure that I'm moving with integrity. I have to make sure that the actual issue is handled and smoothed over and isn't just like swept under the rug like some people like to do. Like, oh, it's not that deep. That can be a big problem because it starts to compound and then you start to build resentment. And then that resentment is very hard to strip away from certain people because it's been built up for so long. So there's a lot of different dimensions to that, but it's really about understanding the psychology, and it's about understanding y'all as people as well, because it's about understanding y'all psychology and how y'all are going to respond to how I speak to you, and also how you're going to respond to each other, even if y'all don't necessarily have tension with each other. You know what I'm saying? So even certain tensions that could arise in the future, they can be prevented now or they can be fueled right now. So even like how we interact now, that does matter. So I'm actually glad that you asked this question because it kind of gives me the chance to offer my perspective on how I look at my role in my relationship with y'all, because I still have to be a leader in a certain way, but I mostly care about how y'all are doing on an internal level rather than everyone being like in the space that I need them to be in. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's a very different perspective you have to have, because a lot of leaders is just like, you need to do what I need you to do and you need to be where I need you to be because I'm your leader and X, Y, and Z. That's kind of some bullshit. I feel like leading is more so about being able to direct the collective with a certain intention rather than dominating a space and people following your orders. You know what I'm saying? So,
Through heart-based leadership.
exactly.
That's the air
Because
king.
the only
The
appreciate
air
that, bro.
king.
The only reason I'm even perceived as a leader is because y'all care about what I care about. We have a similar intention, so I'm just trusted to carry out a certain piece of the puzzle, which I
Mhm.
also need y'all to do. So it's like we all are a collective, and I'm perceived as the leader because I'm in charge of a certain direction. And it's even a perspective I have to have inside of my mind, because it's very easy to get attached to that, like, oh, I'm leading this, so I can just kind of move things according to my will. It's like not even privately I've had to have like my ego get checked in certain ways, because like I'm just a simple channel for the divine. And if I start to step outside of that, certain things in my life are gonna get fucked up, because it's not just about me, it's about the collective. And I have much more responsibility to y'all and just in my life, in my role, then I have time to get off track in certain ways. So yeah.
Yeah, I like how you put that. It's really insightful because I know, like, you're always like, you have so much going on, you're always navigating different situations. So I was really curious about your perspective on this.
Yeah, I appreciate you asking me that. I hope I gave y'all a valuable perspective, and I hope y'all feel a little bit more safe in how certain things are handled and viewed. I'm kind of glad we spoke about this on the pod as well, because this is more so a family than a structured,
Mhm.
professional space, things in a professional way. But it's because of that bond we have for each other, which is why we move in such a way. You feel me?
It's
Yeah,
organic.
that trust.
That's a fact.
We're organic. We don't have pesticides.
Non-GMO.
No MSG.
That's a fact. That's a fact. So I want to say thank y'all for popping out to the podcast today. This has been a great pod, a great conversation. We closed out with a great question. Is there anything else any of y'all want to say? Otherwise, we can get up out of here.
One more thing, the air quality. I was just thinking with the way you were
So,
talking, I was like, oh, that air quality is on point.
yeah.
So
Um,
yeah, air quality.
I appreciate that. What do you want me to like say something about that, or do you
Oh
just want
no,
to
that
say
was
to shout that?
just like the freshness of like your energy. It's like the air quality. I don't know. You ever like I just wanted to
Oh,
ask.
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. You're like saying the air quality is changing and shit. I feel you.
Yeah.
I
Like
feel.
yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. I thank you for raising the air quality. I appreciate that. Shout out to Sunny. Shout out to Z. Shout out to my boy X. Shout out to Ambrita. Thank y'all for popping
Shout
out to the
out to
podcast
you.
today. Thank you.
Wait,
Mhm.
Shout
ain't
out to
no
me.
air pollution up in here.
You feel me?
We
It should
clean.
clear and pristine. Shit clear and pristine and whimsical and all that shit. You
Exactly.
feel me? So we're gonna get up out of here. Thank y'all for popping out to the pod. It's like the third outro, but we had to speak about some more shit. Thank y'all for listening. We're gonna catch y'all next week on the
Peace.
GFCC Global Podcast. Peace and love to
Bless,
everyone.
bless,
Thank you for
bless.
popping up.
Mhm.
Peace.